What is going on, my fellow Masketeers? Welcome back. Welcome back. Did you miss me? Did you miss me? First review of 2023. Man, let's get into this. Now that we've gotten the pleasantries out the way, Black History Month just passed. I know I'm late. But I don't play by anybody's rules but my own. With that being said, the film we're going to review today is Creed 3, the third installment in the Creed franchise and the extended Rocky verse. We have Adonis Creed, aka Michael B. Jordan, finally achieving his goals within the boxing world. He becomes the unified, undisputed light heavyweight and heavyweight champion. Damn, he was active, boy. He was literally active. Did what Anthony Joshua couldn't. Adonis is now the unified champion and he decides to retire because now he is going to focus on being a family man. He has his daughter, Amara, and his beautiful wife, Bianca, played by Tessa Thompson. And so he is now just settling into life after retirement. But then someone that comes from his past by the name of Damian Anderson, aka Diamond Dame, played by none other than Jonathan Majors, aka one of Kang's variants. So he is an old friend from Adonis's past. You find out that they grew up in the same orphanage together, and Dame was actually a Golden Globe boxer. He was a prodigy, and that's where Adonis actually got the love of boxing, because when they were younger, it was Dame that was the boxer, and Adonis literally used to be the one that was in his corner carrying his bags, basically being his corner man. But a situation happened when they were younger where in the end, Dame ended up getting arrested. He goes to jail, and that's where he's been for the past 20 years. I know, a crazy amount of time he got for having a gun. But he's out, and now he wants a second shot at life, but also at the chance of him being the champion. So, as it stands, Adonis Gym currently holds the unified belt, and one of his fighters is the current champion. So, Dame wants a title shot. He wants a chance to prove that he is still, pound for pound, one of the best fighters, and that he is capable of becoming the champion. Originally, Adonis is against it. He does feel like he wants to give him a chance and he wants to help him, but he doesn't see how putting a no-name like Dame against the heavyweight champion makes any sense. And as it stands, currently the match has already been booked for the champion to go up against Drogo for the title. So he tells Dame that he'll get him a title shot, but it's not going to be now, but it'll be sometime down the line. Dame, on the other hand, he's thinking to himself, he doesn't have much time. He's already lost 20 years. He cannot afford to wait much longer. Now, through a series of events, the Drogo fight doesn't end up happening and they need a replacement. Then they decide to use Dame. Dame fights for the belt. He does fight dirty, but in the end, he takes a victory. And once he's become champion, he then goes on to make it his mission to take everything away from Adonis, because he feels that Adonis abandoned him for those 20 years while he was in jail, as well as the reason why he went to jail in the first place. So all of that is taking place, and that's what leads up to Adonis coming out of retirement to face Dame for the belt and to squash their beef once and for all. So that's the general premise of the movie. Let's get into the good of the movie. Now, this is one thing which I will say automatically, right off the bat, Jonathan Majors is a phenomenal actor. With what he's given, he's able to show so much range with the very little that he has. You can automatically see how Dame is a damaged individual, and you actually feel sympathetic for him because of what he's been through and what he's trying to achieve. You might not agree with all the methods, but you can understand the madness and the reason behind the madness. And again, that's just testament to just how good of an actor Jonathan Majors is in this role. This variant of Canning is out here doing bits. And he has a very menacing, unhinged feel about him. He's like a cross between Mike Tyson meets Mike Tyson. That's what it is. It's like Mike Tyson in the 80s meets Mike Tyson in the early 2000s. It's just a crazy combination, and it works so well for this character. Michael B. Jordan also did his thing, but again, he's been playing this character for 9 years, 10 years now, so he understands the character. That also goes with Tessa Thompson. She's been playing this character for like 9, 10 years, so they have a great chemistry with each other. And that is easily seen in their interactions with one another and how they carry themselves throughout the film. Another thing which I will say, Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut, in terms of him going off in the ring, some of the best choreographed fight scenes that you will see in a boxing film. I personally feel, especially in terms of the angles which he uses, the range which the camera comes in, and just the general feel and flow of it all. And that's also something which is very blatant in terms of his love for anime, because he has said before that he's a massive fan of anime and he took a lot of inspiration from different animes when he was putting these fights together. And you can see that. You can literally see where the influences of Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Ippo, Baki, you can see where they've been implemented, and it's done so well, and I have to commend him for it. There's literally a scene where there's a particular punch that's delivered, and I lied to you not, it had anime written all over it. Just from the angle, the impact, and the after effect, it was such a homage to the great fighting shonen animes that have come throughout the years. Hats off to him for that. There's also something as well which he added that directly was an influence of anime and manga, was him showing the conflict within the fight and drawing on both Adonis and Damien's past, and those elements enter the fight. And that's something that happens a lot in anime, where through what's happening now, you get elements and flashbacks of what's come before to shape and mold each character. And that's something which he pulled from, which again, I felt gave the fight much more gravity, and it took you into the mind of each character, which I thought was really good. So, with all of that being said, let's get into the bad of the film. For me, I felt that the film was rushed in a few areas. One, even how Damien got a title shot, I personally don't feel that the film did enough to build that up. I think they should have gone a different route in terms of how he got the title shot. Me personally, what I felt worked better was the slow character build, but they kind of rushed a lot of things in that sense. Also, something that kind of threw me off is the timeline. The timeline doesn't really make that much sense to me. The reason being is because Creed 2 is based in 2018, and that's when he finds out that Bianca's pregnant. We're in 2023 now, but Amara is like a 10-year-old. So it's a bit weird because she's 10, or she's definitely like a 9-year-old because she's not 5. That didn't really make that much sense to me. I don't understand the timeline. Why is she so old? That's the bit that was throwing me off. It didn't really make that much sense to me. So, besides that, my last negative of the film, I personally just felt that even how they resolved it at the end, no, I wasn't really a fan of that. I didn't feel that the fight carried enough weight and payoff for how it ended. I thought that could have been done a little bit differently. And yeah. Oh, last note, Drogo was wasted in this film. Absolutely wasted. And that's another thing which is a little bit weird. When you see Michael B. Jordan and Drogo together, there's no way these two are in the same weight class. It's impossible. Adonis is lightweight at best. Drogo is super heavyweight because he is like 6'6" and easily 50 pounds heavier than this man. There's no way they can be in the same weight class. It's just ridiculous. That was one thing which, again, it made no sense. And even when they did like their little training together, it didn't carry the same weight like when Rocky trained with Apollo. Because when Apollo trained Rocky, there was elements of Rocky's game that was seriously lacking, which was his head movement and his speed in terms of moving around the ring. Rocky didn't have that. He just literally could take a lot of punishment. And that worked with Apollo, but it didn't work when he faced Mr. T. Mr. T beat that ass. So he needed Apollo to teach him how to move and how to increase his footwork around the ring. That made sense. In terms of Adonis training with Drogo, I don't even understand the reason why. Because you've already beaten this man, and there's nothing that you're learning from him that is going to now help you facing against Dame. So that was literally pointless. He was a wasted character. To me, he should get his own spin-off because I find his story much more intriguing than I do Adonis's. That's just my own personal opinion. Okay, with all of that being said, my final verdict for the film, I'm going to give this film a 7 out of 10. It was a decent film, especially for the Creed franchise and to add to the Rocky verse. It's definitely better than Creed 2. It does not touch Creed 1. Creed 1 to me was the best one. So it's Creed 1, Creed 3, then Creed 2. In all honesty, I feel the route that they should have taken for this film is they should have made this a reverse Rocky story, meaning that we now get to see the Rocky narrative, but through the eyes of a Creed instead of Rocky, if that makes sense. Because with Rocky 1, it was the underdog story, but we saw it from Rocky's point of view in him going to take the big dog, Apollo Creed. Whereas in this one, I felt that it literally should have been the underdog story of Dame, but we are seeing it from Adonis's point of view because, again, he is the main character. But we are taking the Rocky story and we're flipping it. Dame is Rocky in this, and Adonis is Apollo. That's where they should have built it. And I feel that would have made a much more interesting story, especially because they have an actual history together. You can really dive deep into that and the mental space for both characters and how each one views the other. Whereas Adonis feels guilt and shame for everything that happened to Dame. Dame feels anger, jealousy, and animosity to Adonis because he let what happened and he essentially achieved everything that he wanted to achieve. So you have those two ideologies and those two narratives really going into conflict with one another. And when we come to the end, there is a real resolution, but you see the journey that both these characters go on. That's my personal opinion. I felt that they should have done that. Also, side note, I don't feel they explored enough Adonis's retirement phase because the biggest thing that's happening with Adonis and Bianca is the fact that he's not able to communicate emotionally, and he always solves his problems by fighting, but he doesn't have fighting anymore. So he now needs to find a new way to vent and be in a space where he can be open to talk. I felt that should have been more of his journey in terms of retirement. What is his life after boxing, and how does he find a way to create a life outside of it and no longer rely on fighting to be the outlet for his emotions? I wish they would have given me more of the struggle and the journey of him just trying to come to peace and to terms with his life after boxing. Whereas, yeah, they just kind of made it seem like, it's what it is. I'm cool. I'm good. I'm successful. Yada, yada, yada. But I thought they could have gone a little bit deeper with that. So, yeah, those are my thoughts and my opinions for the film. If you've watched it, let me know what you thought. You know what to do. Sign off in the comments and let's get active. Guys, it's so good to be back. And I will see you at the next masquerade. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.